The final day of January 31st, 2024. In the world of trucking, we got some big news. And we'll talk about it right after this. Get your coffee and we'll talk. Check. Hey. Ah, yes. Good morning. Look at that lovely view from the windshield. Do you think I would have picked a prettier day, but I didn't? Oh, well. Hold on. For some reason, my volume is low. All right. Good morning. I hope all is well. Of course, Steve, you say that all the time. I do say that all the time. But that's because it's true. It's true. In other news, I've got a gym membership now. One of the perks that I've decided to revive of being home and working from home, and we'll see how that plays out. So I'll keep you guys kind of on that. Now we have a couple of drivers here at Like Trucking, 2 or 3 that utilize Planet Fitness throughout the country, so it could be done with as a driver. But I was talking to CDN yesterday. He's a fitness guy, and if you ever seen him, he's a very physically fit person, and he was giving me some tips and tricks, and we were kind of go over things. He analyzes everything, so he was. So we were going over a few things, and it was great to have that conversation. It's good to have good mentors and good people in your life to have good conversations. Let's see what else. Not much going on. I've got a truck that should be picking up today. They've already pushed the load back, so I'm kind of nervous about that. But I met up with the driver yesterday. We had lunch, and we went over kind of some more full-on orientation, kind of showed him some tricks of scanning paperwork and dealing with rate cons and all that stuff. Because, there's a craft to it. If you're in the spot market booking your own freight, there's there's a lot of things, a lot of parts of the machine that should be going on. So, So we were helping him with that, and any of Like Trucking's drivers that come through Springfield, I try to have a chance to do that with them if they're willing to do. Some guys come through and I don't want to hang out with you. I got money to make, which is fine. I'm not offended by that. So, let's see what else. What else is going on? Weather-wise, let's take a look at the weather first for a quick second here. We're supposed to be in the 60s, so that's kind of neat for the next 3 or 4 days. So that's going to be, which means we'll probably have a blizzard next week. Not much going on the eastern half of the Mississippi. So if you've been fighting weather for the last couple of weeks, guess what? You've got you're able to rest a little bit. Now, Nevada's all jacked up. Looks like California's doing its thing, and then a little bit of Utah kind of doing its thing. So there's a little bit of weather out west. Luckily, I don't have anybody going towards that, so shouldn't affect me or any of our drivers. So looks like it's what's that? Special weather statement in New Mexico. So let's take a look at one of these panels. See what's going on I-40 there. Strong wind on Saturday, so that's probably what it is. In the 30s, so it's not loading. Oh, there he goes. Hazardous weather outlook. So, anyways, like I said, not much going on in the weather. So, let's take a look at this article. UPS to cut 12,000 jobs may sell Coyote brokerage unit. That's kind of big news for you spot market people, right? And look, here's the thing. We've been keeping an eye on the credit of Coyote here lately. A friend of mine and I, we were sitting there talking about it. He's got access to a deeper credit system than I do. Or credit checking system, I should say. And Coyote's having some issues. And so just buyer beware. And speaking of which, Surge Transportation is still posting on the DAT board. So just be aware of that. Their credit score actually shows as a 24 on the DAT board. Can you believe that? So, anyways, and so Coyote, if it goes down, that's another big player that, I mean, Coyote is one of the first loads I ever booked for myself. Hell, I remember doing Coyote loads as a company driver for our company. I remember their old texting system, which was like it acted like it was a real person texting, but I realized that you can put any answer and they would just reply yay or something, something generic like that. So one time I replied something not derogatory, but just I don't know, and it just said okay, great, thank you. So it was anyways, that's dumb. That's you don't want to hear about that. But so let's get into this article because yeah. So, management contract jobs at UPS on chopping block in 2024. Look at that beautiful brown truck. It's got a lot of tree scratches on the side there. UPS Inc. said Tuesday it will explore strategic alternatives for its struggling truckload brokerage business, Coyote Logistics, including a possible sale. In addition, UPS said it will cut 12,000 full and part-time management and contract jobs this year as a part of a new initiative called Fit to Serve. Like how they put that positive spin on the slashing of 12,000 jobs. You like that? Fit to serve. We got to trim the fat. No, you're struggling. UPS paid $1.8 billion for Chicago-based Coyote back in 2015 as part of what CEO Carol Tomei, who was on UPS board at the time, said it was a strategy to expand the Atlanta-based giant's portfolio. However, UPS didn't fully understand the heavy cyclical nature of Coyote's business, which has manifested over the past 8 years, Tomei told analysts Tuesday morning. Now, let's stop right there for a second. Do you remember last week when we were talking about the Sage Robinson layoffs? And what was the problem? the board members didn't realize what was going on. They didn't realize what their world entails. And so you mean to tell me that they spent $1.8 billion in not realizing or fully understanding how the cycles work? That blows my mind. It just shows you that the higher up you go, the less you understand. And that's why you got to protect yourself, because these corporations don't care about you. They don't even understand the business that they're in. All right, let's keep reading. Coyote was generating about $2 billion in annual revenue when it was acquired, Tomey said. During the pandemic, revenue swelled to nearly double that. Since then, revenue has dropped considerably, she said, without providing details. So, during the pandemic, revenue swelled to nearly double that. Isn't that when rates were super low? Right? They took advantage of a situation and couldn't even it boggles my mind. This, and by the way, this is my actual reaction. I have not read this article yet. Hey, it's a reaction video. Yay, that should get some analytics going. Like all freight brokers, Coyote has experienced top and bottom line difficulties as demand has slowed and rates collapsed. It has gone through multiple rounds of layoffs since the start of 2023, and the latest coming in mid-January 2024. So when they were still charging the customers extraordinary amounts of money to move stuff and then not passing on that to us, they didn't keep that away. They didn't prepare themselves for the next day. And meanwhile, the shippers have said they had enough. Shippers are like, you know what? F you, F you, F you. We're tired of paying out the yin yang. Go struggle and rot, right? Transportation is a notoriously cyclical business, you don't say. But Coyote apparently has become too volatile on the top and bottom lines for management's liking. In other words, they don't like playing the game. They didn't realize the game they were getting into, and they figure out they don't like playing that game. Tuesday's disclosure harkens back to the sale 3 years ago of UPS Freight, its former less-than-truckload business, which is also cyclical, I hate that word, and didn't fit with the UPS network as Tomey envisioned it. Canadian firm TFI International acquired the unit for $800 million and rebranded it as T-Force Freight. I'm sure you guys have seen those trucks. The projected layoffs, which will affect less than 3% of UPS workforce, is about 495,000, is expected to save the company about $1 billion in 2024, executives said. About 75% of the layoffs are expected to occur the first half of the year. Executives said the reductions will not impact unionized employees. Of course not. The unionized employees were like, yeah, we're going to protect ourselves from this bull crap that's coming down the line. The jobs will not return even as volumes recover, UPS said, adding that the reductions are a part of what the company said would be a new way of working. The first half is expected to be challenging, with the current quarter the tougher of the two, UPS said. The company will be navigating through difficult comparisons with the first quarter of 23 and will also have to manage through a continued weak macro environment and higher labor costs from last year's Teamster union contract. In other words, the union got what they wanted, and they're having to adjust to that. UPS expects revenue margins to stabilize through 24 as labor costs abate and U.S. and international demand improves. Still, UPS does not expect dramatic year-over-year gains in revenue and projects a decline in operating margins. Just like all of us, UPS forecasts 24 revenue of $92 billion to $94.5 billion, up from $91 billion in 23. Adjusted operating margins are expected to come in between 10% and 10.6%, down from 10.9% in 2023. The year just passed was difficult and disappointing, in Tomey's words. Revenue dropped 9.3% and adjusted operating profit fell 28%. Welcome to the rest of the world there, UPS. In the fourth quarter, revenue fell from $24.9 billion from $27 billion. Revenues and operating profits were down all across all three units, just like all you single truck owner-operators. On a positive note for the company, its fourth quarter results were an improvement over the low water mark in the third quarter. For example, average daily volume in the U.S. jumped sequentially by 30% as the company won back volumes diverted to rivals during contract negotiations, captured new business, and benefited from the seasonal holiday delivery peak. UPS said it's recovered about 60% of diverted volumes, much of that from shippers that source delivery services from multiple carriers, including UPS. Their shares were down 8% in the first 90 minutes of trading Tuesday. So, there you go. So let's get to the comments, and then we'll talk about what you feel about that. My name is Nobody. Good morning. LVC, good morning. Greg Zimmer, good morning. Shannon, good morning. Sterling says the cat says meow. He's actually asleep right now, for now. Cross your fingers. TK, hey now. CB from Bowling Green, Kentucky. What's up, man? Kentucky's a good spot to be in. Grundy, Iowa, waiting on Wingfoot. Got stuck with Old Maid, 4 Baldies. Man, guys, watch your trailer tires, man. Watch your trailer tires. They're looking at them. Good morning, Steve. I hear Coyote Logistics could be for sale after UPS layoffs plan 12,000 drivers. Any potential buyers? I'm not going to purchase that. It'll be interesting to see if anybody purchases that, because Coyote's, I mean, that's a more prominent name than Convoy was. Convoy was a new kid to the block, but Coyote's kind of been around a minute. So it'll be interesting to see if someone wants to handle that. Hopefully, the people that buy that understand the market volatility. It's like, how do you, I don't know, maybe I'm too much of a, I'm simplifying it too much, but maybe how does someone make $1 billion investment and not understand what they're getting into? Well, I guess I know people that buy $250,000, $200,000 trucks and don't understand the business, so I guess that's possible. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just human nature. Maybe we're just meant to, like, hey, let's buy stuff that we don't know nothing about. Double negative, sorry. Romeland Services, LLC. Good morning. Sterling says, I'll be done in 3 hours. Never going to drive a semi-truck ever again. Is that true? Tough night. Good morning from Ocala, Florida. That's a good spot. Nice and warm there, probably. Good morning from Indianapolis, Gary. That's a good spot to be in as well. We set record highs yesterday here in South Canada. Yep. Yeah, we're like going to be 15, 20. I think our average high usually at the end of January is 46, and we're going to be in the high 60s. Maybe I'll get some stuff done outside. Maybe I'll actually get to the range. Who knows? No rain today. Will be 70, says LVC. Their credit has gone down lately. Yes. Trucking with T-Bone. Good morning. LVC saying hi. I've said for months Coyote is in trouble. Yes. Yeah, and credit rating is going down. I think it's just the economy shrinking. No union UPS employees are getting sacked yet so far, right? It is. I think that's a contributor, right? Live in excess for so long that when things shrink, it seems like it's worse than it is. Pigtail, coffee time. Good morning. The pandemic was a 2-year period. The union wages hit the shareholder profit line, so they must be cut somewhere. With the UPS model, they can increase LTL rates to match spending. With Coyote, they cannot. Okay, let me read that again. The union wages hit the shareholder profit line, so they must cut somewhere. With the UPS model, they can increase LTL rates to match spending. With Coyote, they can not. So goodbye. Yeah. No, I get it. That's a good observation. Butch, when everything comes out about ADM, it will be a big story. Butch, tell us more. That would be interesting. CDN should buy Coyote. Mr. Charles, union greed killing another company. Unions create a wedge and a disconnect. UPS knows. Sterling says UPS knows Coyote is just a hedge fund bait. Right? I should buy it and do business as Metal Movers Are Us. No, because then people will expect me to move metal, not play metal. Good morning from Colorado, heading to South Dakota. Cheers. Scorpion, good luck and Godspeed. All right, so what else we got going on? So we went to weather. We did this dumb article. Let's take a look at some low board stuff. All right. Does DIY or CDN want to come on to talk about the Coyote thing? If so, I'll send you a link. All right, so let's do Van here on the hot market. Hot market. I say that sarcastically. All right, so here's Van. Same state, same story. Let's take a look at a yellow state. Let's see what's going on there. Let's sort this by pickup date. Let's see what's loading today. Just got diesel for $2.99 a gallon at the QT off I-25 exit 158. Yes, fuel is still going. Fuel is still looking pretty good. Let's see here. Let me take that screen off. It was $2.99 here in Stratford for us today or yesterday. Let's see. I was checking it out. Get my email up here. Compose. I said compose. My email is being sketchy. All right. Doink. Copy. This is exciting, isn't it? Seeing Steve navigate like a moron here. Here we go. Look at him. Look at his computer. Yeah. But yeah, fuel is pretty. It's getting down. It's getting down there. UPS proves paper pusher jobs can be replaced with an app. Oh yeah, Coyote's been doing that for a while. I remember having a conversation early in my days here in the spot market when the Coyote rep literally said that you can negotiate better with the app than you can with me. The app has more power to do more than I can. And C.H. Robinson's starting to follow suit. What is up, my friend?
You hear me now?
Yes.
I'd love to talk about Coyote. They have a special place in my heart.
You're going to tell your story?
No, I'm not, because this is your channel. I'll tell that story. No, I'm not even telling it on my channel. Screw Coyote. But let's talk about not just Coyote. Well, Coyote in particular. Okay. And then DAT. Can we talk about DAT a little bit too?
Sure.
I don't want to be accused of being particularly harsh to one company. Let's be particularly harsh to two companies.
Okay.
Let me go in here and pull up Coyote Brokerage in my DAT directory. So bear with me 1 second. Coyote Logistics. Right there they are. Right there. Coyote Logistics. Wait a minute. That's not the right one. That's Chattanooga. We want to... They have multiple different offices now, incidentally. Birmingham. I want Alpharetta, Georgia, or Chicago is what I want. Here we go. Chicago. Okay. DAT, and this is becoming epidemic. I'm going to do a video on it. Has a credit score on DAT for Coyote of 97 with 20 days to pay. And this is a particularly middle of the road illustration why the credit ratings on DAT is garbage, and everybody better find a better way to check your credit ratings, because there's some things going down the toilet here. Okay. And I have a solution for that. I've been using them for about 6 months, but I don't have their permission to talk about it yet, because I don't know like if I'm allowed to show the stuff on YouTube or not. But let's put Coyote into one of the biggest credit checking companies internationally, right? Coyote Logistics. And we'll check first the Chicago office. The credit scores work slightly different on this service. They have a risk score of 67. So that's probably equivalent to maybe between an 85 and a 90 on DAT. I would translate a little bit to. I'm showing here percentage of invoices past due 15% to the tune of $1.1 million, $185,000 severely past due, highest dollar amount past due, $692,000, and highest amount severely past due, $113,000. They might be texting me right now telling me to shut up. No, they're not. It's somebody else. Paid late 1,117 payment invoices. Value of what is paid late right now, $10.6 million, with 374 considered severely past due. And the value of the total dollar value of the severely past due, 1.6 million. Okay.
Wow.
They're still giving a credit limit of 1 million. They're still giving them a B rating. But what I like to look at is the trend line. And the trend line, it's not as bad as some that I'm seeing here lately, but it's starting to show a little more red than what I'm comfortable with. It's still very minimal red. What red is bad. 91 days plus past due is red, and then you got in between green, light green, yellow, and orange, with red being the most severe past due. On a company like Coyote, we really shouldn't see any red. We're starting to see just a little bit. Okay, so that's what we were looking at, the Chicago office, right? That's what we were looking at.
Yeah.
Let's go. Do I have a Coyote rate con in front of me? The Coyote rate cons still show Alpharetta, Georgia, if I'm not mistaken, right? That's their,
correct.
That's like I guess their main headquarters is technically Atlanta, I believe. Maybe the corporate headquarters. So let me find Alpharetta branch here, Alpharetta, whatever you want to call it. There's two of them. Their credit score is a little bit lower yet, 63, with 26% of payments past due. Average
26%. Wow.
Average of 11 days past days beyond terms. So that's that one. And there's another office here that they have. Let me find it, because it was ugly. It was ugly. Jeepers, they got more offices than I knew they had. Holy cow. Anyway, there's like a dozen here. One of them, here we go, right here. This is the Atlanta office. Score of 48. International score of C. 50% past due.
50%.
50% past due. Now, this is a much, I want to emphasize, this is a much smaller volume office that I'm looking at. It's a fraction of the Chicago. Okay. So, but it's still Coyote. You shouldn't be seeing this, right? Trend lines here are not as good, but No, I really want to emphasize I'm not trying to be prejudiced here. This is a much smaller office than the other one. But the other Alpharetta office, instead of 67, they're at 63. And the other Atlanta office here is also at a 63. So there's things going to happen here for 2024, and I'd say the biggest one for people, you have got to find a better way to check credit other than looking at the credit scores on DAT, because they're garbage. Screw it. I'll give you the good example. I was going to save it for my video, but let's just do it here, right? Unless you don't want to. Should I shut up?
No, they'll still watch your channel too. So
Okay.
it's good
because this has got it. I'm predicting some changes coming here for this year, and this is going to be one of the bigger ones. Is people are going to get hurt. There is a company right now. How do you spell it? McClay's. I got to go back in my history here and find the spelling.
While you're looking for that, CDN says coincidence that when Coyote introduces an app, they start to struggle. Convoy, who is app based, closed. Uber is losing money. Point is, we need technology, but people matter. That is true.
Yes. Okay, I'm spelling this wrong. It's
Jose says Lipsy Logistics is also having problems.
Really?
Yeah, we should look them up too.
Okay, give me a second. Okay, I think this is the one. Cape Coral, Florida. Now let me pull them up on my other one here. That's still Coyote. Cape Coral, Florida. All right, this is what I'm looking for. DAT, a company called McClay's Logistics USA LLC in Cape Coral, Florida. MC number 1032540. Credit score of 97. That's a pretty impeccable credit score. Now you can be people. I always look at the reviews on companies on DAT also before I'll book with them. I like to match up a bunch of information. Sorry, I moved my camera over here and my screen's over here now, so I'm screwing this up. But 7 out of 12 reviews, 58%. And they're at 4.5 stars, 3.5 stars. Sorry. Yeah, 97 credit score, 22 days to pay. Let me go over to my credit rating service here. Let me tell you how bad this really is. Credit score of 22. International score of D. No credit. They recommend cash transactions only. Days beyond terms, 88 days beyond terms on average. 91% of invoices past due, with a total dollar amount of $36,000 past due. 32,000 of it severely past due, and a high limit of $42,000 past due. That was the biggest invoice.
What was their MC number, real quick?
It is 1032540. See what 123 has to say. Did they do that credit thing too as well?
Well, it's Thunder funding, so.
Yeah, Sterling, I can't share this screen because I don't have their permission. I pay for this service, and if I put it out there, they might be real upset with me. That's why I'm trying to actually get them to come on my show. It's a very reasonably. If not, I'm just going to talk about it without them, and I can't show it. It's a user agreement, but it's very reasonably priced, and everybody's going to need to get something like this. But let's go back here to see if I go into this. I can also look up company officers and check their personal credit.
Oh wow!
I can see any links they have to any other company. So if they're jumping MC numbers, I can see the links to their other companies, company details, blah blah blah. See if they're involved in international terrorism. I should look some of them companies up. And let's just go down. I mean,
That's
this
funny.
thing, the graphs on these things is solid red. Like January, $30,000 more than 91 days past due. December was 30,000. November, things really started to get bad about October, November. So the trend line on this thing is just horrible. It's straight down the tubes. yet DAT has them still listed as a 97. Now, the reason I say this is there's going to be a lot of things come home to roost here in 2024, and this is one of them. You're going to see a lot of people go away, and they're going to take a lot of people down with them, and you got to protect yourself. Sadly, some of the factoring companies use a lot of the same credit information that is used by Ansonia for DAT. So people are going to get hurt, and they don't have any idea that it's coming. And is Coyote the next big one? You got to ask yourself. You got to ask yourself. Uh-oh. Snorelord went Spinny Wheel Jones. Can anybody still hear me? Because I've been running my mouth pretty good here. Well, I'll talk while he's gone. Yeah, so that's one example of a brokerage here that that is a got a good rating on DAT. Let me see
All
if I
right,
have
we're
any.
back. Sorry.
Oh, I don't know if the people could hear me
Yeah,
while you
we
were
lost
done.
internet for a minute.
Oh no.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, sorry. So
Oh,
back up like 1 minute.
they said no. They all saying they could still hear me.
Okay.
You went Spinny Wheel Jones there. Let me just take a look in my
Okay.
history, because it stores my history here on this service here of what I've been looking up, and see if there's any others that pop out to me. Yeah, let's do this one here. I'll just throw a couple out there. Let's look up T Brothers Logistics. This ought to be a good one. I know this company. They have trucks. Dix. Sioux Falls, South Dakota, right here. Why is that? Oh, view more details.
Okay, while you're looking that up, I'm going to read some comments here. Not all the comments. So with these mega brokerages falling by the wayside, who's out there picking up the slack? Kind of like Yellow went away, the other LTLs picked up the slack. Well, there's a lot of volume dropping as well. And then CDN says the bigger question is, why are all the shippers struggling to pay these brokerages? Who are the customers of these shoppers? We are pointing at brokerages, but that's just started the issues. I agree with that. There's a bigger picture here.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead,
okay, I found T Brothers here, the brokerage side of the company. Wait, where the hell did their credit rating go? Oh, right. No, that's not it either. No, this has got trucks on it. This isn't the right one. Sorry, go ahead.
And then he says, CDN's pro tip is, if you have credit check tools, is to check the credit score of both shipper and consignee of the broker on the load. I suspect these shippers' credit decline follow the money. And the tool that you have does that, doesn't it? Does it not?
Yeah, here we go. Here we go right here. T Brothers Logistics, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Credit score of a 97 with 17 days to pay. Okay, remember that. Credit score of 97 on DAT. Let's go over to this credit checking here. Credit score of 37. 37. That's
wow.
That's not good, folks. That's not good at all. That's high risk category. Yeah, we got some bad numbers here. So it's a coming. It's a coming, especially that little bump in the beginning of the year we had here where it was kind of busy. Somebody slammed the brakes on that. That's done. We need another good snowstorm to come through here. Is a mega carrier going to fall this year? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised because shippers and people that pay the freight bills, they got to be followed up on too. And they're in deep with any one particular customer at a time. You're talking millions of dollars. So it can happen. It can happen.
Yeah, like like Convoy, for example, they were the predominant broker on the Niagara water loads all across the country, and especially for Sam's and Dollar General, and so if Niagara was late on their bills, that puts convoy at risk, because it's kind of like the same thing of a trucking company, and their primary customer is just one customer, and that customer struggling. Well, the whole trucking company struggles. So I imagine the brokerages are feeling that as well.
Yeah, I
So
remember years
I
ago when I
mhm.
first was getting into trucking, when Kmart was having financial troubles, and it went all the way down to their distributors, and Fleming Foods, supplied to
Mhm.
Kmart, and Fleming Foods went under because of it, and then the people that hauled for Fleming Foods, um, it's a chain reaction. It'll go all the way down the line.
Right. So yeah, it's so yeah. I mean, with the tool that you have, you can check shippers and receivers. You can check.
Yeah, let's
You
throw
can
one out
check
there. Give
anything.
me worldwide.
Procter and
Let's
Gamble.
Procter and Gamble. Okay, let me see what I can find on Procter and Gamble. All right, Cincinnati, Ohio. I know they got a couple offices here.
Jeff says Coyote Chicago is reviewed required on ours. They had a 10 million balance, December and January, 2 million.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm gonna throw it out there right now too. Watch your factoring companies. Watch your factoring companies. They're dead smack in the middle of it. Um, okay, Procter and Gamble, uh, risk score of 70, which is right in the upper category.
Mm-hmm.
The upper category is 70 to 100. The credit scores on here work a little bit differently than DAT, um, but they're categorized. So international score of B, credit limit $320,000. We have not one single derogatory on here. Everything is straight on the up and up. Good trend lines. Oh, I take that back. And this is, I mean, you got to take these things with perspective, right? So they have 1% of their payments past due, which is, they're a multi-billion-dollar company. It's
Mm-hmm.
things are probably going to get lost in the shuffle. The highest amount past due is $2,900. So I mean, on a
Wow.
company that size, with 7 paid invoices paid late. Okay, so
Wow.
I there's not a speck of red anywhere on here. Everything's green.
What about
We're
ADM? You able to look them up?
Yeah, they're gonna be in my next video here too next
Okay.
weekend.
Yeah, Butch was requesting that.
Oh, okay. Ooh, they have fallen here a little bit.
Yeah, he mentioned earlier in the chat that there was some big news coming up with them. So,
Oh, it's out. It's out. It's it's
oh,
accounting in their nutrition division. They've fudged their accounting to give the executives bigger bonuses.
oh
Risk
wow,
score of 40 right now. It's gone. Man, TQL is blowing me up right now, but they can wait
that's
because
what
I
they
don't have
do.
anything booked with them. Yeah, but even so, uh, everything's pretty recent here. Everything's pretty recent, and they have multiple offices too. That's Decatur, Illinois, which I believe is their home. Uh, ADM Trucking, they have a trucking division with risk score of 86. That's one of the highest I've ever seen. That's a very good credit score.
No,
It's really hard to get a credit score of 90. Like it's damn hard. But they got like 30 different companies on here of ADM. They got a lot of subsidiaries, milling contractors,
and then Cascade
nutrition.
wants to see PLS.
Oh yeah, they're trouble. Well, they were. Let's see if they turned it around. That's PLS Logistics Services, right?
Correct.
All right. Uh, okay, we got to pick an. I think Cranberry, New Jersey, or Cranberry Township, PA. I think is their headquarters. They got. See, when a brokerage has sub agents, they do a listing for each one of them. So we'll do this Cranberry Township. Wow, they've recovered. They're up to an 83. Pittsburgh Logistics Systems. I wonder if is this the right PLS? Well, they're still they still got a little bit of red. I think last time I checked them, they were like 60. Wonder if this is the right PLS. Let me. There's a couple more
Cas-
PLSs on here.
Cascade said yes. Pittsburgh's the correct one.
Okay.
And then Jeff said
Come on,
Coyote made a huge payment in January, to go from 10 million to 2 million. So,
yeah.
and then
PLS has come back up. They've recovered some because they were. I remember we talked about them 6-7 months ago.
yeah.
Yeah, they're up to an 83. They were way down, so they've caught up. Yeah, 91 days past due is down to. I can't even click on that line. It's so small. 60 to 90 days is $30,000, and they're a how many $1 million company here? I don't know. Their total receivables or payables is 1.9 million right now. The recent high credit is 2.3 million. Their industry comparisons are still weak, though. So I would still, if it was me, in my opinion, I would still probably stay away and let this sort itself out over more time, especially with the environment we're coming into.
CDN says rate per mile is only a small aspect. Just getting a load right now is a huge win. If you own a truck and trailer, make no big purchases right now. If you can refinance below a rate, do so. And then he had another comment here. CDN says, I expect factoring companies to increase their fees. Review how your business would be run if you did not have a factoring company. So, Thunder's in pretty good shape. We won't go over the numbers, but I will say this, that they are definitely a lot pickier of who we're using. So, I mean, and as they should. As they should. A good factoring company needs to be, you don't want to be like UPS or, C.H. Robinson or Convoy that didn't realize the volatility. Your factoring company has to recognize that volatility and recognize
and just
that the risk. Go ahead. No, go
just
ahead.
Another good example of why you need to watch your factoring company. So we all know what Surge Transportation did, right?
Still doing.
Triumph. Yeah, still doing. Triumph came in and backed their payments. Despite Triumph was in the courtroom when Mr. Singh sat there and said our bankruptcy plan is not working. We may not make it because our bankruptcy plan is not working. They sat there and listened to that, and they still continue to back them. That's not a great decision, if you ask me. So they picked their pony, testified under oath it's not working, and they continue to back them. So you gotta wonder, right? I just, and I'm not picking on them because they're all doing it. They think they can limit their losses by doing this. We'll see how it all shakes out. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But we'll see. That's if everything gets better, they'll be okay. But I don't think we're there.
Yeah, it's what it boils down to, especially after reading the UPS article. It's how do you handle the volatility? I remember Coyote putting out articles telling you that the rates were going to be lower. It's like they tried to, I don't know if they were creating the trend lines or trying to kind of push people towards what they thought trends were. But with their articles, it was always about, hey, you should rates are going to go lower, so be happy with what you get. They've never done an article on, hey, you should be asking for more because volumes are up. They never had that article. So you gotta, and by the way, that first broker you looked at, they were yellow on Thunder, so they would usually if something's yellow on Thunder, they'll either they'll say, okay, you can only get at this X amount to minimize their risk. Like, in other words, if I want to book a $5,000 load with that brokerage, I could not. But if it was a quick day run for $800, I could do it. And that's how Thunder manages and minimizes their risk as much as they can.
Yeah.
So
I think this is the year where a lot of things hit home and hit and have their effect. I mean, we've been doing fairly well in spite of what's going on in the rest of the world with these wars, with China having just an absolute disaster of economic activity, with what's going on with these oil tankers being under threat in the Middle East. These things eventually have their effect over here. And this is the year it happens. This is probably first quarter, second quarter. And then in addition with our own problems, they're pretexting they're going to cut interest rates so many times this year. The inflation is not fixed. You're going to see inflation skyrocket, and this time it's going to be worldwide, and they won't know what to do about it. Credit is this is the year of the layoff. Layoffs are just now, kicking in. We got a lot of things we're going to be facing this year. So the way you limit your risk is be prepared and be low in debt.
CDN says, this is the time to double down on knowing your numbers to the dime and staying strong both mentally and physically. We can survive this volatile environment, but may need to work harder and smarter. And that's what we've always talked about is, people ask me all the time, hey, Steve, is it the right time to buy a truck? I'm like, well, it depends. Buy a truck when the price is low, but make sure that the price is low enough that you can withstand any of the volatility. Make it only a black swan event that could take you out, versus just a normal cycle. And most people don't manage their business beyond the normal cycle, which these are normal cycles in extraordinary times. And so it kind of, the effect is worse. The inflation is what's kicking everybody's butt, not the rates. It's the fact that your repairs are higher, your tolls are higher, your fuel is higher than it was just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And because, I can go over the rates of 5 years ago and say that we're looking pretty good, but it's what you're keeping. That's what's changing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then
there's going to be big boys taken out this year. You're going to see some big companies get taken out in trucking and otherwise.
What do you think of TZ's comment here? Don't worry, Biden's about to bomb Iran, so freight will pick up with wartime comment. I saw Tucker Carlson. He had put a tweet out with a screenshot of two other, I think, Democrats, politicians, or whatever, tweeting, let's bomb them. It's like they're ready for war. They're mentally prepared to go at it. What do you think that'll do with us?
First of all, that's maniacal. Anybody who's excited to go to war is a maniac.
Yep.
Is it necessary? Sometimes, yes, but you should never be excited about it. You're sick and demented if you think that. Historically, a wartime economy does spur economic activity. However, I'm not so sure that's true going forward. And the reason being is, it's hard to say this without being political, but actually they're all guilty of it, so it doesn't matter. That wartime money is no longer spent in the United States. There, I said it. That wartime money is spent halfway across the world. It's not for us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
War is destructive. War is terrible. We don't want to. We're getting to that point in history where a war could be brought to us here at home, and we don't want that. Technology makes it possible. The wartime would spur an economy, but it'll also make them tighten that tyrannical grip they have around us. Because unfortunately, you need to look no further than the Texas situation. Our government sees us as the enemy, not other people. And that money won't be spent here. Look at how many wars we've been in. Did we see an economic benefit from it other than you can make the case for cheap oil?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't rebuild the United States. They rebuilt everybody else.
Right.
Half the supplies and ammunition and things we needed for war are from outside our borders. So I don't necessarily believe that anymore, because things are what the most dangerous statement. Things are different this time, but they are.
Right. Let's see. Moet says it's not how much you make, it's how much you save. That's true. Sage says factory companies will back you if the brokerage goes bankrupt and offer credit reporting system that hurts companies' credit over time, where a solo driver does not have to report to a credit system.
No, actually, Sage, I'm going to disagree with you on that one, because will they back you if the brokerage goes broke? Did Triumph back Me, with my money, when Surge went broke? No, they took Surge's side. They went to court on behalf of Surge to protect Surge's money and actually get an injunction against me and everybody else out there, everybody watching this. They got an injunction. They supported that in court, an injunction against us collecting. So I don't believe that. I actually don't believe that for a second. And I think you're smart, Sage. I know what you're saying. I'm not trying to pick a fight or argue with you, but that's the fact of the matter of what happened in that very instance. And they'll do it again because their interest is protecting their money and not ours. They won't back us. They'll back the brokerage every time because we're payables. The brokerage is receivables, and they want their money. Unless you have true non-recourse, which is very little true non-recourse out there. Even Triumph's non-recourse, from what I've seen, has a clause in it that there is actually some recourse in there after so many days. So, do I still recommend Triumph Business Capital then, or a business? I don't really. I mean, they're probably about the same as any other. I don't really see any of them any different. Actually, OTR Capital, they took the other side of that, but they were owed money, so they're going to take the other side of that. We can't have factoring companies running this industry, and that's what happened. Is in that case, the position they were trying to put themselves in would enable them to run this industry, and we can't have that. Their credit, their payment processing, and their credit. So we can't have them trying to. We can't have them trying to infringe on our right to collect on freight bills, and that's what happened. That's exactly what happened.
Tennessee, that's what kind of sparked all this. It's what we were talking about. I read the article and everything. But good to see you, my friend. TC says, right, but manufacturing abroad will be destroyed, and the main powers that can keep their interior safe will be the ones selling the products. Well, that's kind of what happened in World War II, right?
There's a whole theoretical argument to that. You're right, TC Boggs. God, I hate to say this, in a country that puts the interest of their own citizens ahead of somebody else halfway around the world, which I truly don't believe that's the case anymore. That our government is more interested in our best interest than somebody else's. Maybe a different administration, and I'm not here to play politics. I think they all kind of suck. In a properly functioning federal government, that is correct. I just don't believe that they have our best interest at heart anymore.
LVC keeps bringing up this truck coin swap. Says you can save roughly $20,000 a year by removing factoring fees.
So people just work for free now. They process for free. I saw these people at Matt's giving a speech. Did you sit in on that speech, Steve?
No.
Yeah, people were eating it up. And then you could sit there and shoot holes in everything they're saying, and their answer was, "Well, we're not regulated. We're not regulated." Like that was a good thing. Well, then that means they can disappear with your money overnight. Not that anybody else wouldn't. They freaking do it all the time. But I don't see the benefit. Explain to me the transparency argument in this process. What part of the payment process is not transparent? People talk about it like it's a benefit. The payment from whoever, Robinson to me, they owe me this much money. I know if I want quick pay, it's this fee, and they either pay me the money or they don't. Where's the lack of transparency there? I don't understand the disconnect. And what is this providing as far as transparency that is of a benefit to me? I help me understand that. Plus, with crypto being exceedingly up and down every day, especially a new crypto. I mean, look at Dogecoin and all these other ones. A new crypto is even more volatile than a Bitcoin or an Ethereum or whatever. So if my freight bill comes in at 9 a.m. to the broker and they owe me $3,000, they can pay me instantly. If they pay me within 5 minutes at 9:05, that $3,000 converted to crypto could now be worth $2,700. Do I have to take that hit? Who takes that hit? How do we stabilize that? How do we ensure that the amount of money that is owed and transacted is not subject to the extreme volatility of a brand new cryptocurrency?
Yeah. Well, even Bitcoin's been pretty volatile here of late as well. I get updates on Robinhood all the time. So, let's see.
But I'm not here trying to bash factoring or bash Triumph. I just I don't really see a lot of difference in it. I think there's could be a better solution to that whole system of maybe you can get a line of credit. You only really need to factor 1 month of receivables, and then it's a rolling. As that month recycles, the new money comes in from the previous month. So one truck, if you could have a line of credit for $20,000 at an APR of 8% rather than every single invoice be subject to 2.5%, that economically makes more sense to begin with, right?
Well, I mean, we Jeff has done multiple videos on the benefits of our factoring company. So, I mean, I can't speak because I'm not
No,
a
and
fleet
I'm not
owner.
throwing stones. I'm
You
not.
know,
I'm not. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not saying they're bad. Like you shouldn't factor. Factoring has its place. Uh, Do we think that trucking is the only industry that factors? Absolutely not. Many
oh right,
industries
yeah,
factor. Many
yeah.
industries factor. It's it's cash flow crunch. So it has its place. I don't think Triumph is bad. I think they picked a bad pony with the decision that they made to try to insert themselves in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing you're going to start seeing. There's desperation calls for desperate measures. You got a desperate driver, they start selling fuel. They take your, I've heard of stories of rental trailers, the tires being taken off and crappy ones putting on to sell the tires to somebody. I mean, you hear all these kinds of stories. Desperate people do desperate things, and it seemed like Triumph was getting desperate and picked the wrong side to make sure that they were paid. And that's the bottom line is no one's going to look out for you, so you got to look out for you. And that's what I've
Yeah.
always tried to preach. Whether you factor or not doesn't matter. Thunder Funding's been great for like trucking.
Yeah. And if I know people that factor just for the credit checking, and there's this other service now that is probably if you're figuring factoring fees, it would be far cheaper than factoring if that's the only reason you're doing it. Um, it's there's other solutions now. There's all kinds of this technology out there.
Yeah. So I mean that's the beauty of the internet. It's a curse and a blessing at the same time. So
Yeah, I don't hate factoring. I think I'd like to see people work themselves off it eventually.
well, when a company gets big, like and look, if the factory companies are struggling because the shippers, so imagine if you're not factoring, the days to pay, that could hurt somebody. So I mean, there's there's all these different elements. So the
But there's
chat's
also
been
a lot.
extremely active. Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm sorry. I keep talking too much. You can't read the comments.
No, it's fine.
A lot of misconceptions though about factoring that I factor it and I don't have to worry about it. That's just not true. There's there's a lot of circumstances. Most circumstances you can be recourse. There's not a lot of circumstances where you have full non-recourse.
Yeah, Music City Transport says factoring is really helpful when starting out and running capital is low.
It is. It is.
Um,
I agree.
And then TC Box says nothing we can do, man. The economy is shrinking. There's overabundance of truck capacity. Many people left and will need to leave the industry for rates to come up. It goes deeper than that. I mean, you're right, TC. But here's the thing: I know people that are still making money. I know people are still out there hustling, doing good. We've got guys doing 5-digit numbers on some of their multi-stop loads that are done in a week and a half. So I mean, there's still money to be made. But you just gotta, through extraordinary times, you got to do extraordinary things, and it all starts with being efficient, being financially, physically, and mentally healthy to be able to survive whatever the market throws at you. Ask any stockbroker what life is like, and they'll tell you the same thing. You got to be able to survive the highs and lows, and right now I mean, hell, just in January alone, we were talking about the end of January. You know, we thought we were going to get this big bump down, and we actually got a pretty decent sized bump up. I wasn't fighting for that extra few dollars anymore, and it was a little bit easier to book a truck. I mean, volumes are way up right now. How long that lasts, who knows? But right now, we're going to ride that wave, and you know, and that's just how it is. You know, I've been in the spot market for quite a while now, and been an owner operator for quite a while, and I've always been in a volatile situation. Even Schneider had its moments during this time of the year where, you know, contract freight was being renegotiated, rates would lower. You know, some trailer pools were better than others. They were switching. So I mean, it's part of the big aerial view that I have. So
Yeah, I'd say just be ready for some weird things this year. Um, I gotta tell you, I had some weird things happen last year, and you're gonna you know about it, and
yeah,
I think there's just gonna be some more this year, and things we just haven't really seen to the large magnitude.
yep. Let's see. CDN says we still cannot follow what brokers or carriers picked up YRC customers. Who took over Surge, Convoy, and other closed brokerages customers? Has anyone picked up any closed brokers' prior customers? Well, there's not too many brokers in this chat, so there's that. And then the trucking companies, you know, I don't know how easy it is to get into a company like Niagara Water. You know, and then you have the 3PL services that you have to buy into as a brokerage to be able to acquire that. That's just one less person getting that load off that list. You know, a lot of bricks are brokered like that.
Yeah, I will
You know,
say it's been hard. I for the moment tried given up. I don't want to go any deeper into the brokerage right now.
mhm.
Um, Shippers and receivers are putting ridiculous stipulations on hauling freight right now. Like what they expect for the amount of money they want it done for is ridiculous. And everything's technology now with most places where you can't even pick up the phone and talk to somebody. You got a problem, put it in Blue Jay. You need a reschedule, put it in Blue Jay. We might answer it later today. We might answer it tomorrow. Nobody will pick up the phone and handle anything right now. It's hard to deal with these people. They're putting the bid durations to 3 to 6 months. One of the places I was working with, they put everything on 3-month bids, and I'm not coming back to you every 3 months with you trying to drive the rate down. And we can be 100% on time and do a great job for you, and it counts for nothing. I'll just maybe some other day. I'm gonna let some of these things shake out, and we'll try again another day. I think this technology thing is going to sort itself out. If you ever notice, the brokerages having a lot of the problems are the ones with the biggest and brightest and best technologies.
Yeah,
They're
CDN
losing,
brought that up.
yeah, they're losing the human touch. I think that's going to come around full circle someday, and be here when it does.
Yeah, they're using technology to replace the people and not realizing that you need people to be able to communicate between the customer, driver, and the brokerage. And
Yeah.
Coyote was doing that years ago. They were like, look, I have less, like, I literally called on a load. I wanted 1,200. They had it at 800 on their app. And back then I said, screw this app. I would just call my guy who's no longer there. I guess, I don't know if he left or was laid off or whatever. And he goes, well, I can get you about 9. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to get 12. He goes, well, see, go through the app because I'm only allowed to give you 9. And so and while we were on the phone, they countered at like 1,000. And maybe it was something like 1050 or something. It was some odd number with cents and everything. And I'm like, well, now they just did that. He goes, man, I would probably go do that. And I'm like, well, if I bid too much on the app, it just shuts me out of the load. He goes, yeah, that does happen. And I'm like, so if you really want this load, you better click on that because I can't do much more for you. And so I was sitting there thinking, like, well, how valuable is your job then? If a computer, I mean, you're literally telling me a computer is taking over your job, and you're not pissed about that. You're not that
Yeah.
doesn't ring something.
Something that's happening too. I have two really close friends that one is a manager at a trucking company. I also have a brokerage. We talk every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I have another one that's in the car business, and he brokers cars. He buys and sells. He transports. We talk a couple times a week. And then with what I go through, probably not going to make people happy, but the quality of carriers is at an all-time low.
I agree.
My friend in the car business, almost every car he tries to move, they try to double broker it on him. Or even worse, broker it. They're a trucking company and they broker it out. They don't even have a brokerage authority. He says people pick up cars, they just drop them off and leave them in the middle of nowhere, and it costs him thousands of dollars to go. The only way you can find them is because they got low jack on them. My other friend at the trucking company, we play a little game. It's not nice, but anyway, he lets me if we're talking on the phone and somebody beeps in trying to call about one of his loads, I just shut up and listen. And you just wouldn't believe these people. They can't call and ask about a load. This one dude took a load somewhere. He had it rejected for temperature because he didn't run his reefer. And my buddy told him, just wait right there, and I'm going to have you bring it to my warehouse, and we're going to unload it, and we'll figure this out. Try to keep you from a freight claim. What does he do? He takes it back to the shipper 500 miles. And then they're like, why'd you bring it back here? They unloaded it, looked at it, put it back on the trailer, gave him his bills back, said take it back to wherever. He took it another 500 miles back to the receiver. They rejected it again, filed a full freight claim on him. Now he wants to get paid like $5,000 for moving the freight when my buddy told him, stay, don't move till I fix this. And they're pretty good at that. And then the company filed a full freight claim. They're like, what? Like, you broke the seal too, it's dairy products. And the guy's just like not listening. And now it's just ridiculous. And now my buddy's caught in the middle of that, and just people can't form a sentence. They email, you've seen, I get email with 5 question marks in it. Well, what the hell do you want? You might be asking me about a load. What the hell load are you asking me about? You'd see it too. So it's just, I can't mentally take those phone calls all day.
Well, what's funny is on the other side, I leave, if I email a broker, I leave my name, my position, my email address, my
MC
phone number, our MC number, the name of our company, the website, of everything. And then, like the other day, I booked a load, and I said, "Hey, yeah, we'll take it for this. Here's the driver info," and I gave the driver's name, phone number, truck trailer number, when he'll be empty, the whole 9 yards. And what was my reply email? Cool. Yeah, give me the driver info and your MC number, please. I'm like, you gotta be. And it's not like my signature is that solid. I mean, you've seen my signature. It's like it takes up half the page, man. It's like it's crazy.
It's just
with a pretty picture.
Yeah, I just can't. Maybe I'm a certain kind of person, but I just can't deal. Just can't deal. So I'll give. I have a couple guys that I know personally that I'll give a load to, but other than that, I just maybe I'm not cut out for it, or maybe I just need to do some yoga and some meditation.
That's kind of where I was at. So we're kind of under the same impression.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot that the average person doesn't see, and it just I'll tell you straight up, you wouldn't believe it. If Steve and I sat here and told you, you wouldn't believe it anyway. I mean, we have these conversations, and it's always like, oh yeah, well, listen to this story.
Yeah, it's like I'll call DIY with the story, and then he'll one up me. I'm like, well, you win.
I think I have the all-time best story.
You do.
I would really hate for somebody to beat that, because that would be bad. When your insurance company, you tell them what happened, and they're just complete silence on the other end of the line, and they're like, let me get back to you. And then they call you back. Yeah, I brought it up in my office meeting, and they said, this is the second weirdest thing we've ever had happen. I'm like, well, I'd hate to hear number one. Gosh dang, man.
Yeah, number one's on 60 Minutes. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man,
Just weird. This industry is weird. And everybody thinks right now the solution to this March 11th thing is go out and get your own authority. God help you if you do. It's hard to do business right now as an established company.
Well, the brokers want inspections. They want no Gmail accounts. They want time, and so it's getting. I mean, and then you're left running for basically C.H. Robinson TQL.
C.H. Robinson won't touch you for 90 days.
Oh, really? They went to wow. So even they changed. So even your staples of a new authority are no longer there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's on both ends. It really is.
Yep. So it's look, like I said, keep your costs down, be efficient. Human connection is important. When all the digital brokers are failing, you can get in there and try to see what you can do because you're a human being, and and as long as your costs are low and you save your money and save your pennies, you should be able to survive any market. So, if the economy collapses, well, then you got bigger things to worry about. So there you go.
Yeah, I'll stop hijacking your show.
As simple as that.
Thanks for letting me come on and scream.
No, you're fine. You brought up some very, very good points, and the credit is a big thing because the whole nation's feeling the credit crunch, and it's gonna. And I feel like it's if you're not on your A game, man, it's gonna take you out. So everybody took a loss. Everybody took a loss. And it's how companies respond to how they took that loss. And if they didn't take a loss, pay attention to what and how they're doing it. And you're going to find that integrity has left the building on a lot of places. So
and be suspect.
Yep. Suspect everything. Question it all. So I'll get a yellow dollar sign for just that comment right there. So.
Oh.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
Take it easy. We'll see.
We'll see you later, man. Thank you. Bye. All right, that was DIY. You guys have been commenting like crazy, and I wish I can go over these, but so I don't think I'm going to get into these. So this will be another half an hour. So, there we go. I'll read this comment. I still don't compete on price. My competitive advantage is quality of service. There you go. And so you would want to work with the companies that appreciate quality of service. I don't think companies like Pepsi and Niagara, I don't think they're looking for quality. They're looking for quantity. And so I noticed that the cheaper the load, the more issues there are with pickup and delivery numbers and appointment times and cancellations and all that. The high dollar freight seems to be, okay, this is what it is. Better have your act together to be able to complete this. And it's evidence with the guys that I have doing the multiple stops. So, because they're willing, I mean, the shippers are willing to pay for good service if you provide it. So, with that being said, it's easy to be a diamond. It's easy to be the shiniest object in a pool of dull rocks. So, with that being said, strength for today, hope for tomorrow. Aggression turns the screws, and we'll see you Friday. February 2nd, unless something goes horribly, horribly awry. So, with that being said, thanks for watching. Peace.